It's time for a Diamond League Protoss versus Zerg, and what I got for you today is a match on Sequencer LE where apparently the Protoss player is already sending out a probe really early on into this match to the other side of the map, spawning in the top right corner. Playing with the red Protoss probes, we have none other than Jellyfish. And actually, I thought that he was gonna go for some sort of cheese, but nope. It looks like he just sent it a little early right there to start up that wall at the front of his natural. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, spawning in the bottom left corner, we have none other than Gregory Daniels. Greg Daniels. He's gonna be able to, of course, start up with these Zerg drones. Now, Greg actually did send out a drone awfully early on into this match to the other side of the map as well. So I think that this is gonna be meant either for a proxy hatchery, but more than likely it's just gonna be a scouting drone, considering he's showing his opponent that he sent it out this early on into the match as well. I mean, that probe got full vision of it as well, and actually the probe is now, ooh, actually this is gonna get messy. The probe snuck in there. I do not think that Greg realized that, and at the same time there is a forge going down. Now luckily for Greg, he has managed to scout this really early on, right? I mean, he has to click on that, building to verify that it is not a gateway right now, right? I mean, he can click on both of these to make sure that he knows what's going on. But this is actually going to get a little bit messy if he does not realize that this is going to be a forge. Because at this point, I mean, that drone was scouting. There's going to be a pylon going up right here at the back of the base. And Greg is not responding to anything just yet. He has absolutely no vision of this at this point in the game. So I'm starting to get a little bit worried for him already. I mean, why are you scouting, Greg? What are you looking for, Greg? Are you trying to just, do it because the cool kids do it? You gotta try your best and make sure that you make the most of a bad situation. I think that drone actually is the... No, drone. No, don't do it. No, turn around. Oh, no. Oh, he tried. And I think that the last of that scouting information that's remaining is a little Zerg drone carcass. Two cannons, however, are going up here on the other side of the map. And I think that Jellyfish, I mean... he must be pretty surprised as well that his opponent did not end up countering this, considering that super early drone scout. But the cannons finish up, and they will indeed force the council right there on that hatchery. Now, Greg is actually taking the third base in Jellyfish. I can imagine he is, doing an evil laugh right now at this point in the game. I mean, he literally arrived there just a second prior with that probe, and he's going to be capable of cannon rushing the third base right now as well. A cybernetics core does go down here for Jellyfish. Actually, a little bit mispositioned right there. That Zealot is not going to be able to go in, back into the main base. And even though it's willing to give its life for ire, I'm starting to get a little bit worried for that. But regardless, I mean, the Zerglings are only just now in production. First cannon is already going up. And I think that, considering Jellyfish made two right here at the natural, he's going to build a second one here shortly as well. Now that he's got the minerals, indeed, that second photon cannon will go down. And Greg, I mean, he ends up scouting that. He is going to be in for a world of hurt. Now, actually, ooh, the Zerglings are bypassing it. Did I just see it? Yeah, I did just see an evolution chamber right here on that production tab. So that means that he's gonna indeed try and drop a bunch of Zerglings inside of his opponent's main base. Now, the cybernetics core is done. I was gonna say that photon overcharge is gonna be very valuable, and that mothership core immediately gets queued up. So Jellyfish really on top of things so far, not really missing a beat. I mean, it's a smart play. If your opponent scouts and he's not responding to it, I mean, kudos to you, Mr. Protoss, because even though you ended up cannon rushing, which is a bit, let's be honest, a bit of a cheap strategy. I mean, his opponent had the counter ready to go, and he did absolutely not do anything about it. Regardless, though, now the Zerglings are being dropped off right here. They don't have link speed just yet. That one is just about to finish up. We do also see a Roachborn as well as a Baneling's Nest going down right now, too. Greg does have a solid amount of economy right here, and actually, he built up a proxy hatchery right outside of his main base. Now, a couple of the probes will immediately get picked off. Zerglings are also made their way across. I think these are reinforcing Zerglings, and they are going to be capable of picking up that Zealot with relative ease. Zergling speed, however, metabolic boost is now done, but the Zerglings are not being microed. The Zerglings are not being microed, and each and every one of these ends up falling. I feel like he could have done a little bit more damage with that than he absolutely wanted to. Stalker queued up right now in that gateway. Another Zealot, however, is ready to start dealing a little bit of damage to this hatchery as well. But that hatchery will indeed finish up before the Zealot can kill it. Zergling's going back into the main base. A pylon is now also being... yeah, he's going to be able to pick this off easily. I mean, as long as he micros the probes reasonably well... ooh, and actually one of them does end up falling there. But as long as he micros the probes reasonably well, I think that Protoss should be able to come out of this scenario relatively unscathed. Now, there we do indeed see that Stalker ready to shoot away at that Overlord as well, and I think that that is all she wrote for this Dropper Lord. More and more links, however, are coming down, and I mean, what exactly is Zerg gonna follow this up with? He's got a solid amount of drones. He's got 21 workers versus only 17. You gotta keep in mind, of course, that the Zealot, you know, is not gonna be able to kill that hatchery, but at the same time, there's also no Nexus down. There's no Nexus down right now for the Protoss player. So this is essentially a one-base play versus a one-base right now. However, the Protoss has got a much better time at cleaning up this natural. And I would actually love to see him take that Nexus after fortifying the front door here a little bit more. Proxy Hatchery, of course, is one of the stronger builds right here for Zerg. I feel like it's a little bit late, however, and I wonder exactly what Greg has got in store for us here today. He's going up for a lair right now, so I do like that one. Maybe he can go for like the roach speed or the baneling speed or something along those lines. Roaches are now also being built here actually on the other side of the map, and I think that he may be planning on like, he's got a baneling nest, right? I think that he may be planning on getting really aggressive here and just simply try and bust in here. The thing is though, these Protoss buildings here at the front, I mean, this is a full... Yeah, no, he's doing exactly that. This is a full wall-off right here by Protoss, and I actually like this one a lot. I would love to see him take down that 7 at his core, really prevent these Adepts and Stalkers from spawning right now. And I mean, the Overlords... Oh, no, Greg is gonna end up losing 2 of those for absolute free, and Jellyfish really being on absolute top of things right now. Go for the Cybercore! No, 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 not the Forge! That did absolutely nothing, did it? I mean, he killed a Forge and, you know, a cannon, and that was all fine and dandy at the cost of, like, what? 1,000 resources? That was a lot more of an investment right there for Zerg than the kill was. Oh, man, that was not worth it whatsoever. I'm surprised he didn't go for the Cybercore. Like, I mean, that would shut down any kind of tech advancements right here for the Protoss. That would shut down any kind of warp gates, which I think that Jellyfish is currently assuming he's researching. Is it Jellyfish or Gillyfish? I'm not entirely sure. I guess it depends on whether or not you're from the US or the UK, but... regardless, there is now a Nidus network going up as well. So Greg, I mean, he knows he's being cheesed in the earlier part of the game, right? He is gonna continue onwards. He's not done with the shenanigans just yet, and I feel like he's in a bit of a vulnerable state right now, right? I would love to see a Stargate or something along those lines here for Gillyfish. I mean, only a couple of additional gateways right now. I don't know if that's gonna cut it. If you would go for a... like, you know, just a single set of, you know, just a Void Ray or 2 would absolutely shut this one down. But regardless, the Ravagers are going to be able to do a lot of damage. There's also a Spine Crawler going down here at the front. Photon Overcharge will be forced, and that is actually pretty good right here for the Zerg player, because eventually these bios will be able to rain down the damage continuously. And even though that Nexus finished up, Jellyfish does not really have a proper counter to any of this. Now, there's another base being taken right here, right next to the Proxy Hatchery. So I'm assuming here Greg is just simply planning to get some mining going on here on the other side of the map. I mean, he needs to do something. He's going to run out of resources in his main in just a couple of minutes from now. He needs to do something, and indeed that Spire does also go down. Now, he got a Nidus Worm. I thought for a second maybe he's planning on, like, maybe sending over the Queens or something, but that Nidus Worm has really not done a whole lot. Maybe he's just trying to use it as a distraction. But shortly, the Roaches and the Ravagers are going to be able to make their way inside of that main base right here of that Protoss player. Now, Protoss, of course, does have vision right here of these tumors because of that single photon cannon. Actually, a pretty important statistic right now. There's also a robotics facility going down for the Protoss, which I do like a little bit more. But still, I can't help but wonder, Greg, he's had a solid amount of economy up to this point, right? This is really the first moment in this game where the Protoss is really starting to get slightly more economy than him. But even though the Protoss has been able to have the ball in his court for a little while, I feel like the response here from Jellyfish is a little bit slower than you wanted it to be. There's shortly going to be more mining here as well from Gregory, and I think that Greg is going to plan on mining with some drones here at these blue mineral patches as well. And here's the thing, Photon Overcharges, I mean, it's going to be able to do a little bit of damage, but these Ravagers, they've got a solid amount of range. Photon Overcharge is not going to be able to reach, and those corrosive bios can continuously rain down all of these Protoss structures. And on top of that, I mean, actually Warp Gates was already done. Was it already done earlier as well? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe you researched it while I was not paying attention to it. But regardless, Warp Gates are indeed finished up, so that does mean that Protoss can continuously warp in more stuff. But the first Immortal is now also here, ready to fight. Spire is done, but you gotta keep in mind, Zerg is only really mining off of 2 gas geysers. That is not a whole lot. Of course, Greg will be able to start mining here from this base as well, so maybe he is planning to mine from this one here for a little while longer too, and really get some more economy going there. But still, he's got so many larvae here. Look at that. There's a ton of larvae available at that single base. But still, I'm starting to wonder here how exactly this one will play out. I mean, look at the amount of look at the amount of production right now for Jellyfish. Right? He's got a solid amount of probes here. He's got more workers than it. Actually, no. Greg actually just finished up a bunch of workers as well. They are relatively even when it comes to the worker count. And actually 6 mutas are, or 4 mutas right now are being produced. But the thing is, Protoss has got a lot more flexibility. I mean, versus 2 gas mutas, you just warp in 1 round of stalkers and that's about it. I mean, there's already a photon cannon right there at the front as well. Of course, though, this will force at least a little bit of response here from the Protoss player. But I wonder, what would have happened if he would have put down a Stargate instead of 2 gateways and a robotics facility? However, a bunch of adepts are now being warped in, and you can see that this engagement is starting to look really solid for the Protoss. He ate some of these bios absolutely unnecessarily, and there are a lot of queens here with transfusers ready to go as well. They will be able to transfuse at least some of these units. At the same time, however, the mutas are grouping up together on the other side here, and they're, you know, flying across the map. They're going to be able to deal some damage here to the majority of this Protoss army. That Mothership Core will be able to land a photon overcharge, but it will not live to see another day. A lot of units are just about to finish up. A ton of Zerglings actually. And actually, somehow, some way, even though the mutas should really not be able to do that much damage, the gateways are currently on cooldown. And that means that after this Adept Warp-In went down, there's not going to be any defenses here ready to go for another little while. 4 hero Mutalisk dealing so much damage right there, and somehow, some way, Greg is making a decent, you know, a decent scenario out of something that isn't looking very good for him right now whatsoever. I would love to see the Twilight Council go down here as well right now for Jellyfish to really, you know, ramp up that production. But at this point, I mean, Greg is going to continue mining here from this base. He has at least got a place to, like, transfer some workers to as well. I mean, I guess he could use the Nidus Worm to transfer some workers. And if Jellyfish starts throwing away units just like he is doing right now, even though he was in dominant control of this game just a couple of minutes prior, he is slowly being picked apart. And our hatchery is now also taken right here in the top left-hand side of this map. An observer finally does get built, so the creep can be cleaned up a little here as well. But I'm starting to wonder exactly what the plan here is going to be for Jellyfish. I mean, he seems to be caught with his pants down, even though he went for that cheesy build. Look at that. The Zealots are, or rather the Adepts are being greeted with a whole bunch of Roaches. And Roach Mutalisk, while a bit unorthodox, it's still extremely powerful. Nice little bit of micro right there. Microing back the weakened Mutalisk. Of course, Mutas have got some of the strongest out-of-game regeneration, or out-of-combat regeneration out of any unit. Look how quickly that unit is regenerating its HP right now. And I think that Greg is going to be able to not only break out of his bases, he's going to be able to continue the harassment here of that Protoss player with the army that he's got right now. Another Immortal is being produced, but there's no Blink available. Finally, we do see some research going down here in that Forge as well, and I do like that one a lot. Counteracted right here with that +1 Carapace upgrade for the ground units of the Swarm. But still, there's more mining happening here, I think, than the Protoss player realizes. One of these bases, however, is going to be in a World of Hurt, but there's a lot of Roaches currently moving across the map. Where exactly did all of the Mutalisks go? They're just simply hanging out right here, waiting for the Roaches to arrive as well. A bunch of Spines are going up here at the front as well. But Jellyfish, he does have a solid amount of economy, right? While this was all going on, he's been building up that economy. He's been making a lot of probes, and that is exactly what he needs. I mean, I think these Stalkers are going to be more than enough to deal with the Mutas, but the question is there going to be enough army to deal with the Roaches as well? Mothership Core just now finishing up here as well, and I think that Jellyfish indeed will have enough here for the time being, in particular with more and more Stalkers being worked in. I would love to see a follow-up though, for him to maybe go ahead and grab something along the lines of Blink Stalkers. I mean, Blink would be incredible here, in particular if you're trying to chase down these Mutalisk. Greg Daniels, he's getting all the upgrades. He's getting all the research. I feel like this is almost a little bit too much, judging by the amount of income that he's got right now. I mean, he really doesn't have a whole lot. And these researches, I mean, he's got a Nidus Worm, he's got the Baneling Nest, he's got all of these upgrades going down right now. I feel like he's maybe committing to a little bit too many tech pads than he ideally can support. But the Stalkers are now moving out, and I think that he may accidentally stumble upon this base. He can see a little edge of the creep right there, but I don't think he's going to actually make a move for that one just yet, even though he could just barely spot it. Now, Jellyfish does have a huge army here, and he's ready to make a move. The Mothership Core, of course, not available. The Mothership Core is not actually taken with this engagement. I was assuming he was going to bring the Mothership Core around here as well, because the question is, how much Protoss army is really going to go up against the Zerg right now? He's not going to be able to teleport back home, and this is going to get really funny really quickly. The production right now is 6 Overlords, because, I mean, Jellyfish has been killing a whole bunch of them, but at this point, that base will definitely not go up. That will get countered right from the get-go. Drones are being transferred at this moment as well, and that is going to hurt quite a bit. Zerg is going to be forced to retreat back home. Immediately, the Leonidas network that did not do anything, did get target fire down there as well. And Jellyfish is taking care of most of the Zerg unit producing structures. A lot of these reinforcing units, however, look at them. They're going to be picked off almost instantaneously, and that is a really big deal because the only way Zerg is going to be able to defend against this is by grouping all of his forces together, and Jellyfish is going to be able to kill that main base of the Zerg with a relative ease. Look at that. That base will go down here in just a matter of seconds, and even though Greg Daniels was doing a great job at damaging his opponent, he was not able to do critical amounts of damage, and the Protoss has been building up that economy steadily, right? Third Nexus is now also going down. Jellyfish has got a solid amount of stuff out right now. And really, that's what it all comes down to. He's got a powerful army. Counterattacks are not going to be going up here anytime soon. But of course, Greg does still have the base mining here to the right-hand side of the third of the... I mean, I guess that would be the southern side right here of that Protoss base as well. Really well played here, though, by Jellyfish. I mean, he was being patient there. He did not rush out the additional economy. He was just simply playing it safe, playing it sound. I think he got pretty lucky as well by his opponent, you know, nuking down the cybernetics core, right? Or you know, the forge right there instead of the cybernetics core. That felt like a, or you know, even a gateway for that matter. That felt like a pretty big loss right there for the Zerg. But also the Zerg committed to a ton of different attack paths. And slowly but surely, this game is inching closer and closer here in favor of the Protoss. Couple of Immortals, a little bit slower than their buddies right there in front. They've got 9 and 7 kills here respectively. That is a solid amount of damage. But right now, I mean, both of these players, right, you can clearly notice that they are going to be higher level players. They are doing a great job at keeping their money low and making the best of a situation. Which may otherwise, you know, not go in their favor. But still, Protoss is playing pretty aggressive right now. I mean, he's got a solid amount of Stalkers. There's still no Blink available on any of these. I mean, very little upgrades here in general for the Protoss. I would love to see him go for some more upgrades. I think that would be, you know, the one way to really, like, nail this one down right now. The Immortals, however, are going to be able to scout that some drones are transferring across the map. And this may actually trigger Jellyfish to at least, like, look around the map and see what is going on. These Immortals do get caught here. The Immortals are going to be very important in fighting all of these roaches. Mutas are being target fired down, but there are a lot of Zerg units here, though. There are a ton of Zerg units here. The question is there going to be enough? And I think that Protoss indeed will have more than enough Stalkers to clean that up. And even though the Immortals ended up getting picked off there for practically nothing, the Stalkers were in plentiful numbers to pick up that victory. Fun game right there between two diamond level players. I hope you enjoyed watching it as well. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I'll see you in the next one.